Welcome to the Center and the Saint. I'm Melissa Bell.
And I'm Allison Kane.
Happy New Year! Goodbye, 2020, sucker.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad 2020 is in the rearview mirror.
How are we feeling about this year?
I don't know yet. It's still so fresh.
Oh, there's a little bit of pressure at the beginning of a new year, especially after a year like last year.
Oh my gosh. I was so prepared for last year. I had gone through this whole organizational thing, and I had said, okay, I am paring down this year.
Your word was you were going to be bored.
Bored. That's right. I want to be bored. Little did I know. And I had chosen all these activities. You know, these are the ones I'm keeping. These are the ones I'm not. If anyone asks me to do anything, I'm going to go back to this list. Well, That went down the drain.
Right?
I mean, really the garbage disposal.
So I, for the first time, bought a planner. I was so excited. It was really colorful. It was pretty. It was fun. And I was going to do this planner.
Uh-huh.
I think it stops mid-March. And I can't do it. First of all, written planners are not my thing.
Oh, right.
I've decided that. I've done 2 now, and I just fail at all of them. And so, for me, the new year, I get to look back and see what I failed at.
That's terrible. I failed at my planner. Well, last year was just a big epic fail.
Yeah.
Not even for us all personally, but just,
Yeah.
in general.
You know what? We should stop calling it fail and call it, it's a reset. We're hitting the factory reset.
That is what I like to do in the new year. I'm not a girl who sets a New Year's resolution, because why set myself up for failure? I mean, I mess up enough in my life. Trying to live it the right way. I mess up enough. I don't need another goal that I know I'm not going to follow through with.
Mm-hmm.
So years ago, I gave up New Year's resolutions.
Okay, so I picked up like this word of the year.
Yeah, I did that for a few.
Yeah, I think like if I had to pick a word of the year this year, it would be survive. That's all I have. That's all I got. Survive.
That's all I got. I did, I saw this tea towel last year, and it was like, Alexa, skip to 2021. And now we're there.
Right?
I was like, gosh, I wish we could do that. And now we're there, so that's good. Well, so I did pick a word for a little while, but then I decided maybe the best thing for me to do, and I've been doing it, I don't know, probably a decade now, is to figure out some new way to study the Bible every year, or a new focus, a discipline that I can adapt or in my life or add to. So, like one year I was like, okay, this year I'm going to study the Bible chronologically. And so I did that, or read it chronologically. One year it was like, I'm going to read the book of Genesis 1 chapter a week.
Okay.
For the whole year. And so I try to relate it back to something that's going to actually fill me up and bring life to my life.
So what is actually going to add value to your life, and what's
Yes.
going to make you a better person, and then you just try to add something.
Yeah. So if I've made that my thing, how am I going to study the Bible in a new way? Or am I going to maybe start a prayer journal that I don't know? I know I can't do that. I would fail at that, so that probably wouldn't be one. But I do a prayer wall. I have figured that out. But and I learn about myself, and I don't set it up. I just try to do it, and I don't hold myself, I don't pin myself, like pin the tail on the donkey, stick it up on the wall. I just make a commitment personally and with the Lord to try to follow through in that way.
Now, do you think you have to have an accountability partner, or is that like way too rigid?
For me, personally, that's too rigid. But you might feel as if you need an accountability partner, or you just may have a friend who wants to come alongside and do it with you. And so y'all could do it together, and you can hold each other accountable. For me, I'm sort of a loner. I'm just going to do my thing. And
I like to call that just self-contained. A loner is a really harsh word.
Oh,
I'm self-contained. I'm
yeah.
self-reliant.
I'm pretty good at following through with things that I set out before myself. My mom is not.
Oh, wow.
I am. It just depends on your personality, I think.
Yeah.
And what will work for you. But I try not to put pressure on myself.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to study the Bible, so, okay. So how can you study it? So your resolution is like, how can you study it new? How can you study it different to bring it to alive, or to life in a different way for you this year? Something I'm going to already be doing. It's like, I'm going to work out. So this year, when I work out, not adding, I'm going to work out every day because I know that won't happen.
Right.
But when I work out, I'm going to add 2 minutes of stretching.
Okay. Yeah, you got to be more flexible. I want to be more flexible. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to look back, though, and look at the stuff that just isn't working and the stuff that sucks the joy out of your life.
Yes. Carve it
and
out, baby.
If you can. So if like cleaning your house sucks the joy out of your life, if you don't have the money to hire a house cleaner, bribe your children, or just maybe try to pray for a better attitude about that.
Or look for ways to save that money. Like, okay, we will not eat out once a month, and I will not order Amazon every day. And I will spend that money on the housekeeper.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much money you can find.
When you hate cleaning the house.
When you hate cleaning the house.
I like to clean the house, like the cleaning agents. They smell real good.
Calms you down.
It does. A smell of bleach makes me just like...
I'm a tidier, for sure. My house is always tidy. Things are always in its place. But I don't want to do, like, scrubbing toilets and mopping floors. And
Oh, yeah. See, you want to make me have a good day? Babe, take the kids somewhere. I'm going to clean all day.
wow. See? It just depends on personality.
Yeah.
That's important. Looking at your personality.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at what I think... carving things out that don't bring you pleasure. Like if there's a volunteer position or something you've signed up to do the year before that it's time to make a new decision about. I mean, obviously you don't want to be a quitter and leave people high and dry in the middle of a commitment.
Right.
But, looking at things and thinking that this doesn't bring me joy and I'd like to try something new.
Yeah, what is adding a ton of stress to your life? I mean, you can't like throw your kids out, but how can you manage that a little differently? How can you set yourself up better? So, for instance, kind of towards the end of last year, end of October, early November of last year, I was super stressed out. I felt like I was running ragged and I still couldn't get everything done, and I was not doing anything well, in my opinion. And so I had to like refocus, reset. What can I do? I can't really lose any of the commitments that I had at that time. But what can I do to be more efficient in my time? And it actually worked.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Sadly, it involved a whiteboard, and I cannot stand whiteboards. I have like whiteboard PTSD. Yeah.
Sometimes instead of a resolution, it is a reevaluation. Is how I like to see it. A reset, a refocus. What was great last year? What wasn't? What's a new thing that I could add that will bring me joy, that will bring in excitement, that will bring new learning? And so it's not just this thing that I feel as if I should do because everybody else is doing it. Yeah. That's actually the reason I don't do things. Because everyone else is doing it. That's personality.
That's a personality thing.
Right, personality thing.
You and I have that in common.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is the rest of the world doing it? Then I'm not.
I'm definitely not. Yeah, exactly. Are you on Facebook? Oh, the whole world's on it? No, I'm not. So I think it is just a good time because you are turning the calendar. I mean, think about how excited after last year so many of us were to turn the calendar to 2021.
How many of you lit the 2020 calendar on fire?
Girl. For real. That's why we have a fire pit.
Yeah.
And at the end of the school year, the kids like to burn their notebooks from school.
Yeah.
But it is always good to take stock, to reevaluate, to dream, and to just pause for a moment during that quiet time before things kick off to reevaluate things in your life. It could be, this year, I'm just going to focus on my marriage more. And this is how I'm going to do it. And make a commitment to that. I mean, let's not say I'm going to exercise or lose 50 pounds or quit drinking wine or who cares, or I'm not going to eat out as much. Do something that will bring you light and life to your world, that will make your marriage stronger, that will make your family stronger, that will make your kids happier, that will bring... maybe you've always wanted to take a pottery class and do something creative. Okay, I've done this. And I was like, by darn, I am going to do that. I am just going to sign up for a pottery class and make pottery. It's not like a whole year kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like a 8-week class. But do it, and just go ahead and make the phone call and schedule the time.
And it really does give you something to look forward to. Give you something that's self-care, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And instead of adding pressure, I think it should be more self-care when it comes to new things that we add or that we're going to choose to do in a new year.
I do think it's important also to bring it, I always go, God, what is it we're taking off this plate?
Yes.
What can we take away? What can I do differently? And if something doesn't bring me joy, normally I am there out of guilt or feeling like it's expected or
Right.
pressure. And that is definitely not a reason to perform. Like, we're not here for anyone else's accolades. We are here for God, right? So we are actually, as my friend Tara says, performing for an audience of one, God, not anybody else.
Yes, one of my prayers, especially at that time, is, Lord, what am I doing? What is on my list of things that I do? Of course, really was whittled down last year to like 0. But what, unfortunately, but what am I doing that you haven't called me to do? That I've just picked up along the way that's making my load and my burden feel heavy and me more frustrated and tired and less able to do the things that you've called me to do with more energy and enthusiasm and positivity, simply because I didn't pray about it before I said yes.
Yeah.
So being strategic with the Lord, and this takes a lot of prayer, and it takes thought and effort. I mean, I have a friend who goes away for a weekend every year at the beginning in January, and she basically creates a plan. And
Is it too late to jump on that bandwagon?
She's amazing. And she is an artist, so she draws a picture.
Oh, wow.
And she pulls out words that the Lord has like placed on her heart that are like, she has a ministry called Heart's Desire, and or if it's children versus women that the Lord's called her to work with that year and focus on. And so whatever, and it changes and it ebbs and it flows depending on what's going on. And her husband recently retired, and so he was a focus in there. And it's this beautiful picture that she creates that's woven together with these words, and it's her plan. It's her
That's
yearly
awesome.
plan. And so there's so many ways you can do it. But I think it is important to, one, take the time, be prayerful about it, and you're not going to be able to decide it in one day.
Yeah, and if you do, it's probably not it.
Right. And many of you probably already know what it is that you need to give up, or it's the Lord's been tugging at your heart.
Oh, for sure.
For a while, but you've been resisting the nudge or scared of what that next step would be, maybe calling you to step out in faith on something like when we stepped out on faith doing this podcast.
Right.
We were like, what? We don't even know how to do that. Like, what? And so sometimes it's that. So sometimes you do already know, but you've just been squishing it down, pushing it away.
Yeah, and I would say if you know what that is, you don't have to go share it with the world, right? That just means you really need to write it somewhere. Like, I like to write it down and date it, and then just start praying about it. You don't have to share it with anybody because God already knows what He placed in your heart. And most likely, if it's something that God is asking you to do, it's something a little bit out of your wheelhouse, right?
Right.
I mean,
Always.
not something you'd be comfortable with, right? Why would God can't grow you in your comfortable spot. If He did, I'd be laying on a beach right now with a book and a drink.
I mean, we don't rely on Him when we're doing what we think we do best.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I laugh because I said, I think that God is calling me to retire and live on the beach. And hang out at a cabana all day.
Definitely. We would get bored. Be honest.
I'd love to try it.
I'd love to try it and be bored.
Even for a week. But, I do know now, after many years of fighting with my inner dialogue, when I'm directing the steps versus God's directing the steps.
Totally.
So,
I can fight it though.
oh, for sure.
I will, even after all these years, I can try to squish God's nudge and out of fear. And I do respond faster, even with a delay, but I still delay sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think being patient with yourself, and also if you choose to do this and set something up, and maybe you do set we'd love to hear from you. Like, what do you do every year? Do you set a New Year's resolution, or did you give that up ages ago? Or do you set one and know you're going to break it or fail by the third week of January and
Right.
do it anyway? And are you fine with that? Or do you add some new discipline or whatever fabulous, habit to your life? I don't know. We want to talk next week about the Proverbs 31 woman.
Oh, why?
Because I think when we're talking about New Year's resolutions, these are the things that we're thinking about, being a better person, and we put so much pressure on ourselves. I want to read you this. I found this. What is a Proverbs 31 woman in the 21st century? Here's what it says. She is a visionary. It's hard to even read it without laughing. One with eager hands and an exceptional attitude. She
Aww.
oozes energy, industry, purpose, and identity.
What does oozing
I
look like?
Like, literally, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Keep going.
So I pretty much suck at all this.
What else do you have? Does it go on?
No, that's for the 21st century. Of course, when we go into it next week, we'll really pull out the scripture and all of that stuff. But here's what I want to say to all of you, because as women, we are tryhards sometimes. We put so much pressure.
She just called us tryhards.
We are. We try to be Wonder Woman, right?
Yeah.
We think that we need to be, we compare ourselves to other people. We want to be Karen. I don't know why we want to be Karen. Karen, stay in your lane. We need to be like her. She has better hair. She has a ministry. Why can't I get all this stuff done with my kids and get a shower every day?
Right?
We are so hard on ourselves. So here's what I say. Your vision for this year may not be to start some sort of nonprofit that feeds the hungry children in your city. Okay?
Yeah, girl.
Your vision for this year may just be to feed your own kids healthy snacks for one day a week.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So please, when we're talking about this, I think the reason we are is, hey, it's okay if you don't set New Year's resolutions. I prefer not to.
Yeah.
I try to do the right thing. We all do. But let's be realistic. And that's why we want to go through Proverbs 31. Because, y'all, when you really take time to read through what we're supposed to be, because a lot of people talk about this,
Yes.
being a Proverbs 31 woman, because she has some amazing qualities.
She does. Yes.
And, I would love to
And
be
she has
this.
rubies.
Right. She has lots of jewels.
Yeah.
And I would love to be that woman every day of my life.
Right.
That would be great. Not a reality. Maybe you figured it out. Please send me your formula, because I would love to know. In fact, you could probably patent it, and you'd be a billionaire if you have figured out how to make that happen every day, because some days I might have a vision.
It might be a hallucination. We don't know.
We don't know. What's the difference? I don't know. Maybe we can talk about that. Some days I might have an exceptional attitude. Actually, some minutes
Right.
I might have an exceptional attitude. And there may be other minutes where it's pretty darn stinky.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes I do ooze with energy. And
Ooh.
sometimes I just don't.
Right.
I hate it when my watch says, you can do it. Just, you can still do it. You can close your ring. You're almost there. And I talk to my watch and I'm like, no, I can't. I am in my pajamas having a glass of wine. I am not doing it today.
Y'all are cracking me up. If I had a watch that was telling me that I wasn't moving enough, that thing would be gone so fast.
Yeah. It's time to stand. She gets real bossy. And sometimes I do have purpose.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't. And it's stressful when I don't. Like 2020 was like that. I really lost my purpose. There was nothing you could do that felt purposeful. and you kind of lose your identity in that too.
Mm.
And so it is great to have all of these things, but we can't have it all. Haven't we learned that so far? We cannot have it all. We cannot make it all happen, and it's okay. But we can strive.
We can strive.
And we can pray, and we can study, and we can aim for trying to get a few of these things in every day.
But we'll talk about that next week.
For sure.
Yeah. So back to your goals, back to your resolution setting. Just be prayerful about it. Be intentional. And we can't wait to hear how you set your goals or set yourself up for the next year.
Yeah, think outside the box.
Here's the good news. No matter what you do this year, it's going to be more than what you did last year.
Hey, you got that going. You have already won. You have already won. You have already been successful.
We are set up for success, my friend.
There you go. So we look forward to spending this year with you and to being with you next week. Thanks for joining us in 2021 on The Sinner and the Saint.